Okay, this part of the tutorial is going to teach us the expression work. I'm going to use expressions instead of gates just because it's easier. It just is. Okay, this is what the expression is going to look like after we're done. Keep in mind, I'm not looking off the preview right now. I'm just looking off a piece of paper. So this might not be perfect because I cannot read what the preview in WMM is right now. Okay, go ahead and make a new expression. Delete all the text there. Okay, and then next to input, we're going to type in the inputs W, A, S, and D for your keyboard inputs. Because, you know, you're going to steer using W, A, S, and D on the advanced pod controller. Then shift is going to be our thruster to hit the gas. And then we're going to use up and down for scrolling up and down. And then active, which is, I'm not quite done typing it in the video, I know. Then we're going to use an active input, which basically says whether the seat is empty or not. Or it's active, in other words. Then for outputs, the things that the expression is going to output is left for the left aileron, right for the right aileron, and back for the elevators on the back of the plane. And then we're going to have a thruster output and a trim output. Trim is just for, it's not like trim, it's kind of like trim tabs on an aircraft, only it's just going to edit the pitch in general. In case you start going up a little bit or down a little bit, this will fix that. You'll see when we test it. Okay, then I'll just name it control. Whatever, the name isn't really necessary, and then you can delete the persistent trigger. Okay, now first we're going to declare what our variables are. We have for inputs, which we have left, right, back, thruster, and so forth. Okay, now if we look, the left value is like 15.8, I believe. So we want it to equal 15.8 if it doesn't equal anything else. So what we're going to do is put left equals 15.8. So then if it isn't told to equal anything else, it'll automatically equal 15.8. And then we'll do the same thing with right, which is the right aileron. It equals 15.8, as long as it doesn't equal anything else. And then for the back, we want to do that with the back too. What's the back, about 34.7? Yep. Okay, so then we're just going to go ahead and type back equals 34.7. Okay. Okay, now we also want to declare that the thruster, which I'm not sure if I don't think I've placed that yet. Make sure that the thruster equals 0, because you know, you don't want the thruster to be going when it's not supposed to. Then we're gonna start the if stuff. So I'm gonna type if. This just means that if this value is this and this value equals something else. So now I'm gonna type if W. Which basically says that if W does not equal 0, that's what it means if it's by itself. If W does not equal 0, which it won't because the advanced pod controller outputs a 1 for that value, back equals 10 more than it originally is, so the hydraulic adds 10 to its length, thereby lowering the back. And then if S, I want it to raise the back, because if it raises the back, then I'd be going up, and if it lowers it, then I'm going down. So W to go down, S to go up, like a plane. It's inverted. So I add 10 and subtract 10. Just look at the video. Then now we're going to do the ailerons. So if A, then we want left to equal 5 less. So then the left one will end up going up. I'm going to actually kind of demonstrate it here. If the left one goes up, then the wind's going to hit against it and push the left wing down. Then we're going to have the right one go down, thereby pushing the right wing up. So then it'll roll left. That's the way ailerons work. Okay, that's it's pretty simple stuff. Okay, so then so then we want left equal about 5 less than originally is, so I'll type 10.8 and then put a comma to signify that we want to put another value in as well if A does not equal 0, and then right equals 5 more, so right equals 20.8. And then for D, it's entirely the opposite, so left equals 20.8 and then right equals 10.8. Oh, now that we're done with that, we'll add the thruster thruster value in, we'll just go ahead and put if shift does not equal 0, so just if shift, then thruster equals about 1000. By the way, I'm not doing this with nearly the correct etiquette in programming, but I don't care. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add the trim stuff. This is what the trim does, okay? The first thing I'm going to type for the trim is, if active equals 0, you have to make sure you have 2 equal signs, because that means that if active equals this value, it's a different type of function type thing. Then trim equals 0. That'll make it that if we're not in the C, the trim will reset. And then we're going to go ahead and type if up for scroll up, then trim plus equals 1, which will add 1 value for each notch that we scroll up. And then we'll do the same for down, only minus equals 1, which will subtract 1 notch for each time we scroll down. So it's just adding 1 to the hydraulic for scrolling up and down. And then we're going to add the limiter things that'll limit how far the trim goes. So then if trim is greater than 10, then trim equals 10 by using the curly bracket. You should just be watching the video to look at this, by the way, because I'm not describing everything. That's what the video's for. And then if trim is less than -10, then trim equals -10, because that way it'll just stop at -10 and stop at +10. Okay, now I'm going to add plus trim to the back of the back variable. And then I'm also going to add plus trim to the back of the W and S things. Because that's just going to make it so that it adds either -10 or +10 to those values. Thereby it adds the trim, so then the trim actually does something. And then I'll just go ahead and stick it right behind the advanced pod controller.